What's up, guys?
Back at it with another episode from the Backups. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Sidney Crosby's awful fucking playoff beard.
It sucks, it looks like pubes, and I hope you get to puberty soon, Sid.
Speaking of Sid, today's episode we're going to be jumping into our first part of this series called the NHL All-Decade Team.
And we're going to be going through 2010s all the way down to the 1960s. And since this is the first video, it makes sense that we're starting with the 2010s today.
Yep. Alright, let's get into it.
Alright, the first guy we just mentioned a little bit in the previous part of the video, but Sidney Crosby.
Sid the Kid, the whiner.
Yeah. He has to be on this list.
Obviously, he's got to have a spot.
Yeah, he's been so dominant this decade. He's had the most points in the decade, even though he's missed 130 games so far, and he leads the league in playoff goals, assists, and points.
Yeah. He captained them to back-to-back Stanley Cups.
Yeah.
16-17, as well as one Hart and Art Ross.
Yeah, I kind of...
a Rocket Richard, 2 Conn Smythes as a 2-time All-Star. I think that part, 2-time All-Star, doesn't justify it due to
it's pretty crazy, actually.
Injuries and stuff like that. But other than that, he's been, one of the best players in the decade, hands down.
Yeah.
So he's pretty hard not to put off the list. All right, the next forward, we got Patrick Kane.
Caney.
From the Chicago Blackhawks. Known for his dangles and tricks and stuff like that. Kane has been great for the Blackhawks over the last couple of years, or in the last decade, really. Third in points in the regular season, third in playoff points for the whole decade. He's played a huge part in the trio of cups they've won.
Yeah, for sure.
He's been great, and he's just one of the most appealing to the eye players that's out there on the ice.
Yeah, and his accolades really back that up too. I mean, he has one Hart, an Art Ross, a Conn Smythe, and he's a 6-time All-Star.
Yeah.
And yeah, he definitely shaped the Western Conference for this last decade and really pushed his team over the edge.
Best stick handler and dangler in the decade for sure.
Definitely.
All right, moving on down to the third forward spot. Last forward.
This guy is one of my favorite players in the NHL. One of the most entertaining players to watch. Alex Ovechkin.
Of the Capitals,
Ovi.
Of course.
He's leading the decade in goals with 338, which is 64 more than the second place, which is Stamkos, which is just ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
He's by far been the best goal scorer of this decade. There's not even a question about it. And he leads the decade in game-winning goals and possesses the record for the most overtime goals.
Ever.
He's not
That's
even
crazy.
that old, and he already has the record. He's clutch. He's an amazing shooter, and he's just really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
He hits good, too.
Yeah. Really, he's been the best goal scorer of the decade. Even 5 years back into the 2000s, he just ran out onto the league and just with storm,
Yeah.
Just putting up back-to-back 100-point seasons. He was phenomenal. But earning one Hart Trophy, 4 consecutive Rocket Richards.
Yeah, that is
putting up
insane.
all those goals
That's just
while being a
dominating
4-time
right
All-Star. Everyone likes Ovi. He's out there. He's having fun.
Yeah.
And he's one of the hardest hitters in the league. So he's great to watch.
He's done some amazing plays in his career.
Definitely.
Crazy.
And really, he's those one-timers that he gets on the power play, sitting in his spot in the left face-off dot, right over in that. That's just his
wheelhouse.
His niche, his wheelhouse. And he scores a bunch from there.
All right, so on to the good old defense. Who you got for the first guy?
We got Duncan Keith from the Blackhawks. Keith has been one of, if not the most consistent D-men throughout the decade, and he's been just so solid for the Blackhawks. He's got the playoff leader in goals, points, and game-winning goals among defensemen.
Yeah, that's.
It's hard to compete with what he's done and how great he's been in the decade.
Yeah, I mean, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Norris Trophy winner, Conn Smythe, 3 Stanley Cups. Like Kane, he was vital to, that championship team, all 3 times. He's just consistent.
He's got the numbers to prove it. He's
Yeah.
got the awards. He's got the individual awards, the team
Yeah.
awards. Great D-man. Probably the best D-man in the decade.
Yeah.
Moving on down to the second D-man spot.
Erik Karlsson, very
King
entertaining
Carl.
player to watch. Kind of an offensive defenseman mostly.
Yeah.
He's the leading scorer among D-men in this decade by 63 points and an assist by 53, which is just ridiculous.
Offensively, he's set himself apart.
He's obviously far and away the best offensive defenseman that we've had
Yeah,
in recent years.
definitely.
And he's averaging 71 points per 82 games.
For a
And
D-man,
he
that's
owns
crazy.
3 of the top 4 single season scoring marks for D-men
Yeah, that's
in
insane.
the decade. So yeah.
Point wise, he can't be compared to anyone because he's just kind of a notch above everyone else.
Yeah.
And out, like you said, he's great to watch. He's pretty electrifying.
But he also has good defense.
Yeah,
He's had a year where he led the league in block shots.
Yeah,
Like,
right after everyone criticized him that he couldn't play defense.
Yeah.
Came back, led the league in block shots. He's been key for the. I mean, they haven't done much, but he's been
Yeah.
like he
He's
hasn't
done
had
all-
anything around him. So I
He's
mean,
done
like,
all he can
really
with the team around him. Like, if you're going to be on the Senators, obviously you're not going to have the championships like Keith. But,
he drug that
yeah.
Senators team to the conference finals.
I guarantee
against
if
Pens.
Karlsson and Keith switched teams for that whole thing, everybody would think that Karlsson was much better than Keith.
Yeah.
They'd probably have, 4 rings and,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be crazy.
I think it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
All right, moving on down to the Tendy, we got Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings.
Quick.
Jonathan Quick, he's been great throughout the decade. One of the most solid, consistent goaltenders. From start to right now in the decade, he's just been great.
Yeah.
He leads the league in goals against average, shutouts, and is 4th in regular season wins and 3rd in playoff wins. So he's really got the stats to back it up. He's been great.
Yeah, he's, personally, I know you wouldn't think I'm a Sharks fan by what I'm wearing, but I am a Sharks fan. And so I personally know how
Firsthand.
good he's been, firsthand in the playoffs, just kind of leading his team to those 2 Stanley Cups. He won a Conn Smythe, 3-time All-Star. It's a lot of heartbreaking games that involve Jonathan Quick just not letting in any goals. So he definitely shows up in the playoffs. He's a clutch performer, and he's put in a lot of good years.
In 2012, he drug that LA team to the finals and won it for him. Without Quick, that team would not probably wouldn't have made it out of the first round, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that was our Tendy. Moving on down to honorable mentions. Who do you got first honorable mention?
Well, you got to put in Malkin.
Yeah, Evgeny Malkin.
Evgeny Malkin from the Penguins.
Yeah.
I think sometimes he might be a little underrated just because he's playing next to possibly the best player of our decade. Yeah. So, I think people don't really appreciate him as much as they should.
Yeah.
But he's so, having him and Crosby on that team just make them terrifying to play against every single year.
Definitely.
And I think if he wasn't sharing the team with Crosby, we'd probably have him on the list.
Exactly.
I don't know which of the 3 amazing forwards would go off. Obviously, it's a pretty stacked
list.
Yeah, if you can only have 3, that's pretty crazy. But
yeah, like you said about Quick and the Sharks, I have firsthand experience with
Flyers.
Malkin and Crosby. So I mean, an angry Evgeny Malkin is debatably one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
When he plays mad and he plays well, he's hard to stop.
Yeah.
He's a big body. He's physical, but he's so skilled that it's hard to knock him off the puck. Same with Crosby. Crosby's even smaller, and it's even harder to knock him off the puck.
Yeah.
So, those 2 guys. I don't think it was that close. I think Crosby's definitely.
Yeah.
But I think Malkin's hard not to leave off the list if
Yeah.
you look at the stats and his accolades.
What do you think about anybody else?
I think Jonathan Taves. I think obviously he with the 3 cups.
Yeah, that helps quite a bit.
That helps his argument. he's also been one of the best two-way forwards in the league since then.
Mm-hmm.
His stats, point totals and stuff don't always.
He just kind of does a lot of good stuff on the ice and makes like smart plays.
Yeah, and then he was the youngest guy to be named captain in NHL history. I think McDavid broke that, but
just a pro, just
coming into the
get
pros,
shit done, like
named the captain at 20 years old. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then I think another LA guy that terrified me for multiple years was Drew Doughty.
Yeah, definitely.
He was definitely an amazing defenseman. Very frustrating to play against.
Yeah, Norris Trophy winner.
Yeah,
2-time Cup winner. He was the key piece on the LA blue line when they had to go up against Chicago in the Western Conference Finals, bounce against them every year, and then end up having to play Boston or who not coming out of the East.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was.
They don't play pretty, but they always found a way just to get it done. Just squeeze it in the goal somehow.
It was brutal, kind of sloppy-ish hockey, but I mean, really, when you look at it, whatever gets the job done.
Yeah.
And then, lastly, I think Carey Price deserves a little mention. He was great this decade. He had the 2015 season where he won MVP and the Vezina. Went off. He was literally a brick wall that season. But when I weighed it out with Quick, I thought Quick just
the championships helped a
lot. And then the fact
Smythe.
that he was leading the league in multiple categories also. Shutouts, goals against. Those are huge. So I think that wraps up our 2010 All-Decades teams.
Make sure to stay tuned for the 2000s. And we also are doing the same sort of thing about the NBA, so make sure to check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And gonna be coming out with a bunch of new videos. We're gonna be grinding for the summer.
Yeah.
And
Reaction
stay tuned.
videos, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, reactions, debates, talks, lists, whatever. So just let us know in the comments below what you think we should
subscribe.
do. Yeah, and then make sure to like and subscribe. So,
Peace out. Stay safe. Peace.